Okay, it is media day. We are in the lower classifications, and I'm joined by Sealy head coach Shane Mobley. Coach, we talk about 4A and we talk about Division II, and last year you had to deal with Belleville and those two studs over there with Briggs and Reese. You ain't got to deal with those two studs anymore, but you have a new team coming in West Columbia. Talk about how you feel like your district, 10-4A Division I, kind of pans out.
It got tougher with West Columbia coming in. For the most part, we stayed the same. We didn't lose anybody. Last year also we had a lot of new coaches in the district with Royal and Sweeney, and so now that they've got a year under their belt, now that they've got an off season underhand, I know that they're going to be a lot stronger as well. And so Belleville's got a lot of kids returning. Yes, Reese and Briggs, outstanding young men. We've seen them for the last 4 years, so it's a graduation for me as well for those guys to be gone. West Columbia coming in. When I first got here, we was in district with Needville and El Campo and Bay City and West Columbia. So we are familiar with them. We haven't played them the last couple of years, but we try to stay our preseason. I've kept Stafford on schedule. I've kept Bay City on Stafford, Brazosport. That group that they play, we kind of stayed familiar at that level as well. So them coming in, it does make it a lot tougher. I think for both Belleville and for everybody. It ought to make for a great year, a fun year.
Well, everybody, we talked about recent breaks, but everybody gets hit with graduation. I'm sure you have too. What, going into the summer, what kind of positions are you looking to see some guys step up and fill in for some guys that may have graduated?
Well, last year was a unique year for us. We had between 28 and 30 seniors last year, and that was a huge class. But throughout the season, we had several injuries. We had about 5 ACLs. Several shoulders. So we kind of started having to pull our JV kids up. We even put a couple of freshmen up. So when it was said and done, we kind of went in playing China Springs as healthy as we could be with the guys that we had lost. But we had some younger guys that got some really good experience. Hector Murillo, for example, he was a linebacker on JV. I tell him all the time, I said, if you told me Hector would have been starting varsity by district and then playing in the playoffs, I said you'd be crazy because we were so deep because we have really good numbers for our size school. And Hector was he's just a great young man, and he's going to be somebody that we'll be hearing a lot more about these next couple of years. So for us with the graduation and us going in position-wise, it's very, very important. We got a lot of guys that we have the depth. We feel like we can stay one side of the ball with the offensive group and defensive guys, but you also got those guys that at our caliber, they need to be on the field both ways. So this spring is going to be really important for us. We've got our quarterback back. We've got our running back back. We've got 2 or 3 offensive linemen back. So when we start filling those pieces, we start looking, okay, does some of our defensive linemen need to move to offense, or we have some offensive guys that need to move to defense? So that's a good question for us right now because we're just now kind of getting into the spring. So during the period, we'll be evaluating that, and I'll be able to answer that a lot more as we go through the summertime and we roll into 2 days.
I got you. Now you talk about being a small school, you got to play both ways. You're also playing, we talked off camera, you got guys playing, multiple sports that have to in order to fill out these teams. But talk about your quarterback coming back, Devon Himilewski. He obviously had that shoulder ding, missed a couple of games. We were talking off camera. You may be playing him on both sides of the ball as well, not only just to help your team out, but maybe to get some, he's an athlete guy to get him some looks at the next level, right?
100%. The biggest thing about Devon is he's number 1 in his class right now. Class ranking, his grades, he's intelligent. He works hard. He probably goes home and studies, or he's in a teacher's class before school. So he puts as much effort into his grades as he does into his athletic ability. With Devon, he's also that type of kid that he wants to be on the field. And you got those guys that want to be on the field, and you got those guys that want to be on the field. And he's one of those guys. And so going into his senior year, we've got some guys coming up that we feel like could make a really good hand in case something happens at that quarterback position. So, we want to turn him loose a little bit more. And, if we get up and we want to play from quarterback position, but we want to let him take run some routes and stuff like that, see what he can do in open field, we're going to look at that. We're also going to throw him on defense. We think that he'd be a great lockdown corner. Like I said, he's intelligent. Playing that quarterback position, he understands defense. He understands coverages. So we just have to kind of teach him the technique. But a lot of times he gets out there and plays it. So he kind of has an idea of what's going on.
And we talked a little bit about what you're looking for in the next couple of months as for guys to step up. But I'm sure you got some positions where you have no worries whatsoever. Where else are your strengths besides Devon at quarterback and DB?
So Kyle Willingham is one of our he's our returning center. Our starting center last year, Kyle was playing guard. Our starting center blew out his knee. He was one of our ACLs, and so Kyle stepped up, and he was a sophomore, going to be a junior. So we're excited about him on the offensive line. We really think that he can anchor us at that position. By another one, just kind of randomly looking, Hayden Warnicke. Hayden Warnicke, he's one that's being kind of looked at, highly recruited by a lot of the D2 schools. We may have a couple of the smaller D1s that we're sending information out to, we're communicating with. But Hayden has started at corner first since he was a freshman, and he's going into his senior year. Last year, he played a lot of slot receiver. He had a shoulder injury for a game or two, but he's back. So him in the secondary, him at slot receiver, we're excited to have. He and Devon connected a lot last year. Our safety, Mason Klotz, he started as a sophomore. He's returning as a senior. We're excited to have him. So secondary, we feel really comfortable. We did lose two really good linebackers this year, Thomas Clark being the main one. Connor Krennick he was a defensive utility player in our district. He played linebacker, he played corner, he played safety, he played receiver, he played quarterback when Devon was out. We're going to really miss Connor as well. So our defensive ends, our linebacker secondary, we feel pretty comfortable about. Our interior, we got to find some guys. We got some guys we're evaluating. We may not go as big as what we are. We're not very big, but we may look more speed and quickness for especially the spread teams that we play.
Well, I appreciate you joining us, Coach. And I know we're four months early, but it's never too early to start talking about football. So I appreciate you coming on with us.
And thanks for reaching out. If there's anything y'all need, or just let me know.
All right. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.